Norton, he's a Republican strategist and former senior official at the Department of Homeland Security. Good afternoon, James. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Let me begin our chat by rereading you that tweet. This is from Donald J. Trump. Why would Kim Jong-un insult me by calling me, quote, old, when I would never call him short and fat? Oh, well, I try so hard to be his friend, and maybe someday that will happen. Now, James, would you understand if someone thought they were reading the tweet of a teenager and not the tweet of the President of the United States of America?
Well, I think if you've been insulted on Twitter by Donald Trump, it's kind of his way of saying hello, I think. And so I think he was just saying hello back, that he heard the comments of the North Korean leadership. And, I think that he obviously was trying to strike a tone of moderation when he was in South Korea just a couple of days ago, essentially calling for a negotiation, trying to come to the table, trying to back down off, I think, earlier comments and try to ease tensions. However, he continues, and I think it is an area that does confuse the world, and certainly it could confuse, other leadership in terms of kind of this type of back and forth. However, it seems like he was trying to course correct in the Philippines in his recent comments, saying, hey, maybe we could still negotiate, and but just can't seem to help himself on Twitter.
Well, let's go to the second part of that tweet, because he did say, I try so hard to be his friend, Kim Jong-un's friend, and maybe someday that will happen. So, first of all, I try so hard to be his friend. Do you think that's correct? I'm trying to recollect, since he's been president, when he's tried to be Kim Jong-un's friend, but I can't remember. Can you, James?
I'm not sure, again, what the president's definition of friendship or trying to be friends is. So I think that I'm not totally sure about that. I think that he has been pretty critical of other leaders, reaching out to Iran, for example, and trying to negotiate when President Obama was doing the Iran deal. And even up until a couple weeks ago when he decertified, he was pretty critical of that. And so this is a little bit of a reversal, I think, for President Trump to kind of say that he's looking to be friends with the North Korean leadership and, sit down at the table with them. So it is a little bit confusing. I think, again, if you've been insulted on Twitter by the president, then maybe that's his way of just saying hello. And I'm just trying to translate here, but I think it's an interesting dynamic that seems to continue. And I think he's going to have to eventually or hopefully become more clear in terms of what he does want or not want. And I think it also goes to his cabinet in terms of what they're out there saying and contradictions that seem to continually occur. Even yesterday, there was the issue in Russia about the Russian hacking, and the president saying that he believed the Russians, where his CIA yesterday said that wasn't true and that the Russians were responsible for hacking. So there's a lot of confusion, I think, that continues.
Let's talk about his mediation skills. He's offered himself up as a mediator over the South. He is a good mediator?
I think he has a reputation of being a negotiator. I think that obviously he's built a business over, many decades in terms of, the art of the deal, if you will. I think, if he is willing to engage in this particular issue and he's able to carve out a relationship with the Chinese president, I think that's a good thing. I think it depends, how serious he is and how much time he's willing to commit to it. I think that'll be the next step. But if we can come to a peaceful solution, then obviously all the better.
In terms of North Korea, let's go back to that and negotiating. I mean, there has been a lot of talk that no matter what Kim Jong-un does in terms of, missile tests and so forth, he ultimately wants to sit down with the U.S. Do you think that we will actually see a day where the United States and North Korea, and the United States under the Trump administration, sit down with North Korea?
I think it's entirely possible. I think that this last 12 months has been a lot of the impossible happening. And so I guess I would say never say never. Certainly, it does take leaders who have an extreme position to sometimes come to the middle to make a deal happen. So it is possible that could occur. I think the president would be smart to engage other former presidents who have engaged in conversation with North Korea, like Bill Clinton, like Jimmy Carter, who have done this deals with them before. This is an issue that's been going on since the 1950s. We just celebrated Veterans Day here in the U.S. on Saturday, and a lot of people lost their lives in Korea in the 1950s, and so I think that isn't lost on a lot of people here, especially coming out of Iraq and Afghanistan and other conflicts that we've just had. So I think most people, a majority of people, will want a peaceful solution, and I think they would encourage President Trump to try to sit down and come to some sort of resolution. And again, I think it's very encouraging that he does have a relationship president, and the Chinese obviously are big players here in the North Korea situation, so it's important to be on the same page with them.
Okay, James, thanks for chatting to us. James Norton there, he's a Republican strategist and a former senior official at the Department of Homeland Security.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.